I was scrolling through our flipping Discord group today because I was curious about the frequency of one single question. This item is cheap, and should I buy? This question is missing a core mechanic of RuneScape investing, and in this video, I'm going to explain why, and view an example of a failed investment that I had that lost me over 125 million GP. My name is Scapenomics, and here's what you're doing wrong when it comes to RuneScape investing. A majority of RuneScape investors that I know buy items based on value and how cheap the item is compared to where it was in the past. But this is actually a bad strategy, and here's why. Let's apply that same philosophy to the Grazi Rapier. As you can see here, the Grazi Rapier dipped to 138 mil in November of 2018, and last month, January 2021, the Grazi was trading for 135 mil. Wow, that is an insane deal, right? It's definitely going to start going back up in price soon. Well, now in late February, we're seeing the Grazi trade for sub 123 mil, which is a 12 mil decrease in just 1 month. Yikes. Looking for item investments solely based on price is what's known as a value trap in real stock market investing, and it's a massive mistake. The same principles apply in RuneScape. Players think an item is so cheap, the cheapest it's ever been, and that it could not possibly go any lower. This leads new investors to buying items that are on long-term downtrends, and they watch their GP slowly melt away. Hold on, I already know one of you is typing in the comments about how it doesn't matter as long as you hold the item until it is green. And you're right, if you sell the item for a profit, no matter how long it takes, you will make a profit. But here's the issue with that. What if it takes 6 months for the item that you've invested into to recover? Or what if it takes a year? It might not bother you if it takes that long, but think about how else you could use that GP that you have in that investment within the game. You may use it to actively flip items, maybe you'll buy bonds, buy gear, train your skills, or possibly even start another investment. Whatever it may be, you want access to that GP and you can't get it without selling for a loss. This concept is called capital efficiency, or in our case, GP efficiency, which is not only maximizing your profits on an investment, but doing so in a timely manner. We're going to touch more on this concept later with our example where I made a mistake and invested into grapes. Enough of what you shouldn't do, let's touch on what you should do when it comes to RuneScape investments. Instead of thinking what looks cheap, try to think of investing by asking yourself the question, what items could be more expensive in the future? Instead of hunting a good, cheap item, think of what items may become more useful within the game's meta and have the most growth within the game going forward. You might ask, hey, Scape, how do I determine which items may grow in the future? And I'll warn you, it is not easy and it takes time to learn, but I'll give you a few tips on how you can spot good investment opportunities using this method. The biggest tip that I can give is that the Q&A live streams are your best friend. Seriously, almost every single good investment idea comes from these Q&A streams. Jagex will often answer questions during these Q&As in regards to botting or their current game's meta, and they'll discuss solutions or strategies that they can implement into the game to fix these issues. These fixes are where the opportunity comes from. For example, when I made my video on investing in the Pharaoh Scepter, the investment idea came from the fact that Jagex stated they wanted to implement pyramid plunder restrictions for accounts, so a fresh account cannot enter the pyramid. This would shut down a large portion of the botting, cut the incoming supply of the scepters, and increase the price on the item in the long term. The Q&As are so amazing for investment opportunities because they are the first time that Jagex could mention a future update, which means you will be the first one to hear it and you'll have the advantage over others in getting into the investment early. We've talked a lot about theory and strategy, so let's dive into an investment gone horribly wrong, which cost me over 125 million GP in losses. In late 2019, I saw grapes coming down significantly in price, and they were trading around 65 to 70 GP each. I wasn't sure why, but grapes were hitting their lowest point since they started trading on the Grand Exchange in 2015. So of course, I started buying them, breaking the first rule of investing, which is to never invest solely based on the price point or the value of an item in its current state. I ended up investing 267 million GP into grapes, buying a quantity of 3.7 million grapes. As time went on, grapes continued to downtrend. They went to 60 GP, then they went down to 55 GP, and then they fluctuated around there for the next month. I was convinced that this was their bottom price, but no. Slowly over time, I watched grapes continue to fall 1 to 2 GP daily for the next 5 months. I was devastated. I was so heavily invested into grapes, and they were not cooperating with me. I ended up selling them off later at a 38 GP price point, bringing my total loss to 126 million GP. In this example, I broke two of the most important rules. I invested for value, and I was not efficient with my GP, and it cost me about 15% of my entire bank at the time. Ouch. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that example, as it hurts my pride to admit to such a large loss. But don't be like me and invest in bad items and watch your GP rot away. It's a mistake that I'll never make again. To this day though, grapes are still trading for around 45 GP each, meaning if I had decided to hold on to my investment another 6 months later, I'd still be at a loss, holding tons of grapes for a giant loss. Regardless of my failures, I hope you all learned a thing or two from watching this video. Are you an investor who invests solely on value? Let me know how it's been going. Of course, these are just my recommendations, and maybe you're someone who makes bank off value investing or buying cheap items. It's just not my preferred strategy, and I think you can make mega gains focusing on growth items. Drop a like if you enjoyed, let me know if you agree in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one.